Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. We'll recap some of the action from yesterday, but also being the holiday week, there was some nice action earlier in the week as well. We'll hit on some of those races also. And before I get started, do want to thank the folks up at Partners Pub in Johnstown, Lou Lancy and the staff. Lots of hospitality up there for our on the road OTB Live yesterday. Nice crowd in there. As always on a Fan Appreciation Day, we had a contest. If you've never been to a Fan Appreciation Day, the winner gets a $75 bet. The second place finisher gets a $25 bet. Both hit. So the contest winners both walked away with a nice chunk of money yesterday. It was fun. Nice racing that we watched during the afternoon. Nice crowd in there. Good food. If you're up in that direction in the Johnstown, Gloversville area, you're looking for a lunch spot or dinner spot and want to watch some races as well, great spot. Partners Pub up in Johnstown. Thanks again to for their hospitality yesterday. Had fun. All right. Let's jump into some of the action from yesterday. When we were up at Partners Pub, we were watching a lot of this unfold, and it was a nice stakes day, again, in the midst of the holiday weekend. The Comely yesterday was the feature at Aqueduct. I like Pretty Anna. I was a little bit surprised. 7-2 in a field of 5 was the third choice, and it was a Chad Brown runner. Pretty Anna is a half sister to Gun Runner, and Pretty Anna again is the number 1 horse. Now the favorite was Alpine Princess from Brad Cox, coming out of a win in the Remington Park Oaks, and got up there and challenged certainly. But Pretty Anna said, "No, I'm not letting you get by." Chart margin winds up to be ahead. They are well ahead of the third place finisher Scalable. But again, in a field of 5, you wind up with $9 and change on the Chad Brown runner, Jose Lescano, in the saddle. And again, some nice breeding there. Now, that said, she hasn't quite lived up to the older sibling Gun Runner. This was only her second win in 9 career starts, but she was coming in off a near miss in the Mother Goose in her prior start, and she had shown some that the last 3 starts, 2 of those on turf and the Mother Goose last time, seemed to indicate that she was maybe getting better and better, maybe improved with the move into the Chad Brown barn, whatever it was. Follows up that Mother Goose try, which was the initial stakes try of the career, and again was a neck, third by a neck, near miss. She follows it up with a win yesterday in the Grade 3. So you would think she'll be one to watch going forward, on the 4-year-old scene next year amongst the ladies. So in the Comely, it was Pretty Anna, again, with, I thought, a generous price in there. Down at Churchill, we talked yesterday with Joe Christofek about the nice 2-year-old day they had down there, including nice 2-year-old stakes. The undercard action was good as well. There are some horses that coming out of there that will clearly be horses to watch. And I'm just, the sibling to Idiomatic Chasen, who wound up with a win, but a light buyer of 68, but maybe one to watch going forward. And there were some other nice runners, again, on the 2-year-old side of things that'll be worth watching going forward. It was a nice day yesterday. But on the stakes side, again, 2-year-old stakes. There were a couple of sprint stakes, the boys and the girls, and then a couple of 2-turn races, boys and the girls. On the The male side of things for sprinter, 2-year-old sprinters, the Ed Brown went off yesterday, and we had talked about this race with Tom Bellhouse as well, because West Point Thoroughbreds had Keep It Easy in here. Keep It Easy for Dale Romans started the career a little bit disappointing, running a well-beaten 7th in the debut, and then came back with a much improved performance and broke the maiden in June down at Churchill. They were ambitious off of that, tried the Saratoga Special, as you heard Tom Bellhouse say yesterday. That just went wrong. There was all kinds of trouble in there. So they're kind of drawing a line through that. But the horse needed a little time to come back. And came back, Keep It Easy did yesterday. Keep It Easy, the number 7 horse. Second choice at 5-2 over the number 1 Tough Catch. Tough Catch came in for Dallas Stewart off of a close-up second place finish in a stake down at Keeneland and took the action at 94 cents to the dollar. But you can see Keep It Easy here opens up nicely. The chart margin winds up to be 5 1/4 lengths. Corey Lanery on board. Tough Catch, the favorite, runs second. Glean, the horse that I like, Wesley Ward runner, trying dirt for the first time. Glean winds up running third in there. But again, it is Dale Romans for West Point and Company, getting it done with Keep It Easy with a solid 87 buyer figure, lifetime best, notably. The previous best was the Maiden Breaker at 79. So again, this horse gets a little late summer, early fall break, comes back in the 4th career start, gets the stakes win. So West Point and Company, now a little 2-year-old to watch as we are on the verge of, a month away now. It's December 1st. So we are on the verge of turning the page on the calendar, and these 2-year-olds becoming 3-year-olds, and Keep It Easy will be one, as they say, to watch next year. And again, that was a sprint race. And so far, Keep It Easy has been 5.5, 6, 6.5, and 6.5. And you always have to wonder, with the 2-year-olds who show talent sprinting, what the connections will decide. It's tough, and I don't blame any connections for, let's see if we can stretch out and what kind of a 3-year-old we have. And I also can't blame them if they realize we have a pretty solid sprinter. Let's just keep going, because there's a nice 3-year-old. Typically on all the big 3-year-old race days that you get early in the year and into later in the summer, there's typically a nice 3-year-old sprint stake as well. So there are opportunities, but we'll see what it is selected for Keep It Easy. All right, a little bit later on, it was the Goldenrod. Again, this was the 2-year-old fillies going 8.5 furlongs, so 2 turns. I like Good Cheer in here. Good Cheer, Brad Cox runner that was undefeated in 3 starts, including the Rags to Riches at a 1 1/16 right here at Churchill at the end of October. So a month later, comes back and makes the record 4 for 4. Good Cheer is the number 3 horse, winning as the chalky favorite. Quiet Side, who I thought was playable for John Ortiz, coming out of a 3rd in the Alcibiades, runs 2nd. And Eclatant runs 3rd. That one also had shown some ability for Brad Cox, being 2 for 2. So it was the first defeat for number 1 Eclatant. But a continued win streak for Good Cheer for Brad Cox and Godolphin. Luis Saez, who yesterday, I must have printed it up Friday, because we were talking about it yesterday with Joe Christopher. Luis Saez had an unsurmountable lead in the jockey standings on Churchill, so it's been a great meet for him. And he continued that yesterday with some stakes wins, including this win in the Goldenrod. So Good Cheer, she clearly will have the Kentucky Oaks in her sights, as opposed to the 2-year-olds who have proven themselves sprinting. And the question, what are they going to do now? Good Cheer is now, this is the 3rd victory going 2 turns. Broke the maiden at a mile at Horseshoe Inn. He might have even been 2 turns, but then came down in Allowance Company at a 1 1/16 to Churchill. Then the Rags to Riches, a 1 1/16 to Churchill, and yesterday a 1 1/16 at Churchill. She winds up with a nice 86 buyer. Wow, not only tying her last victory, but tying the victory 2 back. I'm not sure how to take that exactly. The last 3 starts have all been with 86 buyers, all at a mile and 16. So it doesn't seem as though she's moving forward necessarily, but still only 2. And an 86 is a good number. It's just funny to see her put together 3 of exactly the same number like that. Also, yesterday on the card at Churchill, the Fern Creek. We had the 2-year-old boys sprinting earlier. This is the 2-year-old fillies, 6.5 furlongs the trip, $225,000 the purse. Talked with this one about Joe Christofek, and I think he and I were both on the same page with Impulse Buy. Echo Sound came in undefeated for Rusty Arnold. But Joe mentioned it, had the rail post position, so the outside post position for Impulse Buy maybe a little bit better. I was surprised to see that She's So Spicy wound up to be the favorite. That one winds up third. I had these two 1, 2, 3. I was perfectly happy with the triple here. I had a 914, comes out 914. And I was perfectly happy that She's So Spicy, the horse I had down on the third spot, was taking some action. That offered a little more value. Not a lot of value, but you wound up with $6.54 for Impulse Buy. Impulse Buy is going to be the number 9 horse here. Rudy Brissett and Tyler Gaffleone. Echo Sound under Luis Saez runs second, and running third was She's So Spicy. Again, you had an outside post position, which probably helped Impulse Buy as opposed to Echo Sound, but still, it was you can see a nice gutsy late run from Echo Sound on the inside to get up there by a neck for second, but well clear, 2.5 clear for Impulse Buy in first. And again, it's another one of those situations. Interesting to see what they decide to do as far as Impulse Buy going forward. First start, didn't break the maiden. First start ran second at Ellis at 7 furlongs. Then at Keeneland broke the maiden at 7 furlongs. And then tried the Tempted last time up at Aqueduct. That was a mile, but a mile up there is a 1-turn mile. Then they cut back to the 6.5 yesterday and get it done with Impulse Buy. You know, the mile up in New York, it was an okay second. I would, Windstar, and I would think they would give serious consideration to stretching out next year. But again, we'll see, because clearly a potent filly sprinter. And Echo Sound, the first defeat of the career, but as you saw, it came up the rail. I thought that was a gutsy second, and we'll see what they do with that one as well. And finally, Impulse Buy, I don't know if I mentioned, 84 buyer, so solid buyer, and moved up. Had paired up 83s in the Maiden Breaker and the Tempted, so the 84, a little bit of a move forward, but again, a nice number for a 2-year-old at this time of year. And wrapped up the 2-year-old stakes action down at Churchill yesterday in the Kentucky Jockey Club. I like Jonathan's Way, who clunked in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but had a couple of nice wins before that, including a stakes win at Churchill. I just had a feeling the opportunity was there to rebound. Ran okay for Phil Bauer and Rigney Racing. Joel Rosario was on board. Jonathan's Way did go off as the chalky favorite. The number 2 horse will run second. First Resort, it was a nice day yesterday for Godolphin. Owen Hardy had First Resort. And Luis Saez was on board. So as I say, he had a couple of stakes wins yesterday, kind of helping to cap off on this weekend a really good Churchill meet. And you can see it's going to wind up to be a chart margin 2.25. Jonathan's Way, the 2, runs okay. Making a late run here is too late, obviously, but he's well clear of the third place finisher, Tistastic. I didn't use First Resort in my mix. And the betting public ignored that one a little bit as well. $14 and change. Playable, though, a little bit interesting. I'm relatively certain that Joe Christofek liked First Resort. and mention, they went up and tried the grade 1 on the turf up at Woodbine this summer, ran 4th there, but the 2 dirt starts prior were pretty good. Got back to the dirt yesterday, and so First Resort now, a nice runner for Godolphin. Owen Hardy, as I say, Louis Sayes on board, and now proven at Churchill around 2 turns, so you kind of have a good idea of what their game plan will be with this, at least the general game plan. The specific races, not so much, but likely on the Derby Trail, certainly with First Resort. I think, as I say, Jonathan's Way, I thought that was a nice kind of rebound from the Breeders' Cup effort as well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at some of the action from yesterday and beyond. Stay tuned.
They're back! The world's best horses, jockeys, and trainers have returned to Hallandale Beach, and the championship meet is on at Gulfstream Park. The action begins November 28th with live thoroughbred racing Thursday through Sunday. Take in the action trackside with a craft cocktail at the Carousel Club, or head upstairs to a private suite or 10 Palms restaurant. For stake schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
You saw the commercial there for the championship meet at Gulfstream, which got off earlier this week. And we were happy to be sponsored by Gulfstream Park throughout the championship meet. We appreciate their support for some of the programming and events here at Capital OTB Championship Meet, running now through March 30th. That will, of course, include the Florida Derby. So thanks again to the folks at Gulfstream Park. Yesterday at Del Mar, as is typical this time of year, Thanksgiving time, the Turf Festival. There were some nice turf races yesterday. The Jimmy Durante was for 2-year-old fillies going a mile on the grass. Upset as 10-1. Will then gets it done for Jonathan Thomas and Augustin, a name that brings back Jonathan Shepard and Augustin, coming in at prices up at Saratoga. Well, Jonathan Thomas has filled in ably. The number 11 horse here, you can see making a nice late run at a solid 10-1. Casalou, the number 6 second resolve, runs third. The favorite was Sea Runner. That one runs fourth at 5-2, but at $23, it is Will Then getting it done, as I say, for Jonathan Thomas. Second win in the third career start. Interesting career. They debuted down at Kentucky Downs, and why not take your shot if you think $180,000 up for grabs in that Kentucky Downs maiden special race. Did not show up there really, but then went up to Woodbine and won it in the second start and won pretty nicely. And then boom, to Del Mar. So kind of traveling around Kentucky Downs, Woodbine, out to Southern California, and gets it done in the third start. And this will be one of those horses that I will be paying attention to certainly next year, because a nice little 2-year-old on the turf becomes a nice little 3-year-old on the turf. And I enjoy those 3-year-old stakes races on the turf. So Will Then getting it done again at an upset price in the Jimmy Durante. Seabiscuit yesterday for 3-year-olds and up on the turf. Another little bit of an upset in here. The favorite was redistricting for Chad Brown and Klarovich. Lightly raced runner. They had tried the Hollywood Derby last year, and the horse didn't finish that race. Laid off from then until the Knickerbocker in October at Aqueduct and just missed running second. This was only the sixth start of the career for redistricting, and it was the sixth start of the career, second start this year. So it was a nice effort from the Chad Klarovich runner. Flavian Pratt was on board. That one went off as the 3-2 favorite and winds up second, number 7 redistricting. But it's me, Hermano Ramon, getting it done in here at 11-1. Astronomer runs third. Winner went out for trainer Mark Glatt. Hector Barrios on board, Southern California-based runner that has been, the 11-1 was kind of generous. Came out of a close-up second in a stake at Santa Anita last time. And overall, going into yesterday, it won 3 out of 8. So now 4 out of 9. We're looking at almost 50% runner and offered up a nice $24 and change victory in the Seabiscuit. And finally, we talked about this race yesterday with Tom Bellhouse, the Hollywood Derby. Carson's Run was in here. Carson's Run, in fact, went off as the 5-2 favorite. No surprise, given what Carson's Run has done so far this year with the win in the Saratoga Derby, the win coming into this race in the Jockey Club Derby down in New York. In between those races, a close-up second in the Nashville Derby. So, again, Carson's Run, the number 4 with Dylan Davis on board, goes off as the 5-2 favorite. And there was pretty much a blanket finish here, but it winds up to be Formidable Man getting it done for Mike McCarthy. Again, a Southern California-based runner who also had a pretty good record, 6 exacta finishes in 9 starts coming into yesterday. 4 of those were wins. Formidable Man's the number 6. King of Gosford runs second. Donegal Momentum runs third. Stay Hot runs fourth. And Carson's Run, a little disappointing, fifth in there with the trip out to Southern California. But again, Formidable Man, 5th win in 10 career starts. And again, you got a horse at 50% and offered up, again, a nice price of $12.60 there. So one of these late season, I say these 3-year-old turf races, start early and go late, and this is one of the later season 3-year-old turf races, and it winds up to be Formidable Man, who, again, has had a pretty good career so far, and caps off the 3-year-old season. I mean, there's still another month left. I don't know what the opportunities are out there. There is the late season 3-year-old turf race down at Gulfstream, but, this yesterday was grade 1. I think you probably wind up the season with that grade 1 effort. All right, there was your stakes action yesterday on the turf from Del Mar. We'll take another break and we'll take a look at some of the action from a little bit earlier in the week. And then we'll kind of wrap things up again a little bit early because it's a 12:10 post at Aqueduct, and that means their pregame show will probably start within the next 15 minutes or so. So we'll come back and, as I say, take a look at some of that action from a little earlier in the week around the country, and then we'll wrap things up, send it down to New York. All of that right after this. Stay tuned. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
It's in front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbach. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. Holiday week started with a bang. It's ending with a bang later today. There's more stakes action out at Del Mar that should be fun. And a closing day. Oh, closing day at Churchill. Don't forget mandatory pays. And I didn't see yesterday. Maybe I can pull it up quickly here. But Joe Kristovec mentioned, and it's a jackpot bet. So I'm assuming it likely remained unhit, the entire thing. But their pick six at Churchill had $250,000 maybe in the pool. And again, it is being the last day of the meet. It is a mandatory payday. So keep that in mind in here. Let me just pulling up the chart to see actually what is carried over for today. And again, if that held over from yesterday, it will it'll balloon up nicely, certainly today with a mandatory pay. So maybe it might be it's worth taking a look at anyway, and maybe taking a shot if there is something. And I'm kind of vamping here. My computer is pulling up the chart very slowly. So I'll get to that in a second. But earlier this week, again, on the holiday week, we did have some stakes action starting off right on Monday. Mahoning Valley, it was their big day. Steel Valley Sprint, $300,000 up for grabs for the sprinters going 6. There was a notable scratch. Bookham Dano scratched. And when I kind of previewed the race last Sunday, and when I previewed the race, I mentioned there had already been kind of a hint that Bookham Dano was going to scratch and head to the Cigar Mile. I think that is the plan. So Bookham Dano scratched. Favorite went off as world record. Rudy Brissett, runner, coming off a win at Keeneland. Had a good career so far, 3 wins and 6 starts. Flavian Prat was on board. World record's number 7 at 9-5, winds up 3rd. Maximum Meridius, a Butch Reed runner coming in from Parks off a Bullet Work. Had shown some real ability, and that one winds up 2nd. The winner, Valentine Candy. Jose Ortiz in town for the ride. Steve Asmussen trains the Hillenbrats. And again, a 50% runner going in, now better than 50%. He was 7 for 14 going in, and comes out of it, obviously 8 for 15, but a nice win at Mahoning in the Steel Valley Sprint for number 9, Valentine Candy. Again, Steve Asmussen and Jose Ortiz teaming up there. There was other action at Mahoning. It was a nice stakes day. I didn't call for the replays, but in the distaff, Luis Saez was on board, Miss Arlington, the Cheryl White Memorial. And again, these were nice races, $200,000 up for grabs. Benedetta, Jose Ortiz was on board. That one for Steve Asmussen. The Zia Park Sprint, we actually looked at that yesterday. And again, these are moving on to Tuesday now. We looked at some of these Zia races. It was a big day at Mahoning on Monday, Zia big day, and we showed a couple of those Zia races yesterday, so I didn't call for the replay again. When we were talking with Tommy Bellhouse, we looked at Jackson Traveler for West Point in the Zia Sprint. Nice win there. Heroic move in the Zia Park Championship. And again, $125,000 up for grabs there. The Juvenile, it was Smash It, getting it done, $100,000. The Zia Park Oaks, Valiance, scores for, again, $300,000. And the Zia Park Derby, again, we looked at that one yesterday. Dymatic got it done for Steve Asmussen, and indispensable for West Point, ran a good 2nd. So there were some of your results from Monday and Tuesday. Again, Mahoney and Zia having some nice days earlier this week. Also on Friday, it was the Fall Highway. A lot of people, me included, one of the favorite races of the year. It's a little bit different now than it was back in the day. We were looking at 140 some pounds. There would be a spread. It's not a handicap anymore, but it is a conditioned race with higher weights than normal. And the winner, though, had a little bit of a break at 128. It was Giant Mischief getting it done, who I liked in this race. Giant Mischief, the number 9 horse for Brad Cox, coming out of a win at Keeneland to start the season. So this was only the second start of the season. Gets a nice win in the Fall Highway, running second, running Son of a Gun, and running third, Top Gunner. I like those 1, 2, 3. So I was perfectly happy with the result. Master of the Obvious with the winner at 4-5, and running Son of a Gun was second, 4-1 as the second choice. But Top Gunner in the third spot, 16-1. Didn't offer a whole lot of value to the trifecta with the shorter prices on top. But again, Giant Mischief getting it done. Only the 9th career start. This is a 4-year-old. And again, this was only the second start of the season. Had run in the Malibu at the end of last year as a 3-year-old. That was December, comes back in October. I would think there's still some, I would think a 5-year-old campaign is probably likely, and this one will be one to watch on the sprint side of things next year, coming out of the win in the Fall Highway. And also, Friday, the Clark. We talked a little bit about this. Well, first we'll look at the Mrs. Revere from Churchill. Mrs. Revere, a couple of nice stakes, including the Clark on Friday at Churchill, and the Mrs. Revere was one of those, 1/16 on the grass for 3-year-old fillies. I like Kehoe Beach for Wesley Ward, coming out of a couple of wins, one at Kentucky Downs, one at Keeneland. Kehoe Beach, a 3-1 on the morning line. The betting public was with me, came in with a bullet workout, and gets it done at a short price of $4.10 to win. Frankie Dettori on board. Kehoe Beach, the number 3. Pounce, the nice Mark Cassie runner. I've liked that one pretty much throughout the career, but off the last couple, I couldn't pull the trigger on Pounce. Neither could the betting public. Favorite wins, Kehoe Beach, but Pounce, the number 9, runs a good second at 34-1. You wound up with the $4 horse on top, $103 exacta. So Pounce kind of rebounds to the form that was making this one to watch a little bit earlier. Poolside with Slim runs third in there. So that was Friday's Mrs. Revere. Also on Friday, we had, again, the aforementioned Clark. We talked a little bit about this one yesterday with Joe Christofek, but just one more look because, again, it's one of the more prominent late season handicap division races. And it was Rattle and Roll, a horse I have been on for a long time, and I didn't pull the trigger on Friday. I liked Hit Show coming off the win streak. Hit Show winds up running third, but disqualified. Hit Show's the number 6. Rattle and Roll's number 7. Goes by here, number 5, Most Wanted. And Kenny McPeak in the winner's circle afterwards seemed to indicate the potential for this one is to go on to the Pegasus, which, I don't think would be any surprise. That seems logical coming off a win like this. So, again, Rattle and Roll with me off gets it done. And I probably, we had Joe Christofek on yesterday, and he said he liked Rattle and Roll. And I probably should have stuck on board. This horse had run in the Lucas Classic last September 2023, and had been off until trying the Lucas Classic again this year, and ran an okay third behind Hit Show off of that layoff. So I probably should have at least had a hit the Rattle and Roll somewhere a little bit in the mix. Oh, there the guys had the pulled up the carryover. So it wasn't hit. Mandatory payout today. Keep that in mind. About $250,000. They will kick clearly plenty of money into that this afternoon as well. So again, keep in mind that mandatory pay on closing day at Churchill. And yeah, I was just double checking. That is a 20-cent wager. So you can get in, you can put together a decent little ticket and take your shot this afternoon for the mandatory pay in their pick six down at Churchill. Keep that in mind as the day goes along. All right, I'm going to wrap it up because they do have the signal up at NYRA, and there is, in fact, the preview for Talking Horses. So I will wrap it up here and remind you I'll be back 12:10 post time in New York. So we'll be back around noontime or so, a little over, an hour and 20-ish for OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Seth Merrow in the studio, wrapping it up for Racing Across America. Once again, want to thank the folks at Partners Pub. Had a fun day yesterday. OTB Live on the road, Partners Pub up in Johnstown. Highly recommend if you're up in that area, swing by, grab a little lunch, a little dinner, play the horses, and again, say hi from us because it was a fun crowd up there. Enjoyed the hospitality they offered yesterday. And don't forget championship meet now underway down at Gulfstream Park. Appreciate their sponsorship of this show and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Don't forget, if you want to come down to the Racebook today, football Sundays, watch all the football action and all the racing action right here every Sunday throughout the racing season. Clubhouse Racebook, 7-Eleven. Football Sundays. Seth Merrow wrapping it up on a Sunday morning, but again, we'll be back in for a Sunday afternoon of OTB Live in a little over an hour. So we'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.